It's absolutely wonderful to join you today. It's the 15th day of Ramadan. We are at the halfway line. That's what we call it here. We're at the halfway line. And you know what? But for the first 5 days, you don't even know the days are passing so fast. We just cannot believe that, can we? The days are passing so fast. Now the body is used to it. The detoxifying process has started, it's moving along, and your body is actually getting you ready for the next 11 months to come. And that is what Ramadan's all about. It's very spiritual, it's very healthy. It's also there to improve your emotional content, so our mental well-being, everything. When you're fasting, this is the joys and the experience that you go through, the joys of fasting. And it's absolutely, if you do a lot of deep research into it now, modern science will tell you that fasting, right? That's what you got to do. You got to fast so your body is in constant repair mode. And one gentleman I remember once, he told me, he says, fasting should be 11 months a year, not 1 month a year. And that is how much value he put to fasting, right? So today, brothers and sisters, we have a wonderful guest to join us today. And I'm going to introduce you to him, and he's going to introduce himself, actually. That's the best way. So, Brother Sarfraz, how are you this morning?
I'm all right. How are you? Very good.
Absolutely. And Brother Sarfraz, I'm going to allow you to introduce yourself in great detail.
Okay, thank you, Akil. My name's Sarfraz, as I've just been introduced as. But I'm Sarfraz Ahmed. I'm a careers advisor, working for Leicester College. I've been working for Leicester College for a long, long time. I'm sure some of the audience may have heard of me, or may have seen me, or have had careers advice from me. I'm a careers advisor working for, obviously, Leicester College. We give advice, we give support, and we also give kind of support for the next step as well. So we give advice for people that are unsure of what they want to do next.
Of course, careers advice at Leicester College. Now, tell us a little bit about Leicester College, because I remember this college to have many different names over the years, right?
Yes. Okay.
Let's. I don't know how far we want to go back, right? But let's say from the 70s.
I'll take you back a little bit. I mean, in the late 90s, it was probably, there were actually two colleges. There was Southfields College and Charles Keene College, which merged in about 2000, 99, 2000, and became Leicester College. So, so originally there were two colleges, big colleges in Leicester, became a massive college, Leicester College. And the nice thing is with Leicester College, it's actually evolved, and it's been very responsive to the needs of the generations, how things have changed, new courses, new challenges, and new ways of working as well. So Leicester College is one of the biggest colleges in the UK. It's a vocational college, which means that it does a lot of the courses linked to industry, for example, like construction, engineering, beauty, catering, and so on. And I'm sure that most of the people that are listening would have done a course or have some links with the college, because it's so much in the heart of the community, and it's embedded in the city as well.
Of course. How long yourself you've been there at Leicester College? Remind us again.
Now I have been there. You're going to love this. I have been there for about 20 odd years. 20 years.
That's a long time. You'll have gone through.
Time, but I've had, I would say, at least 3 different roles within there. Yeah. So I've also done, obviously I give advice and guidance, but I've done also assessing as well. So I assess other careers advisors and train them as well. And now we've gone into a different kind of way of working, which is more remotely, a very digitally way that we access information. I'll talk about our service and how it's changed in response to COVID, because obviously we had to change. We were working in small interview rooms and face-to-face, very close proximity, and that wasn't good for us or good for the learner as well. So that way of working wasn't working. It wasn't conducive, wasn't very good. So since last March, we've actually set up a digital service which is very accessible as well. So if anybody's out there listening and thinking, well, look, I do need bit of careers advice, or I just want some help with my ideas and someone to just to guide me a little bit, you can actually book yourself a careers appointment off the college website. So if you go on the Leicester College website, just www.leicestercollege.ac.uk, or just Google, put Leicester College in, you'll get it, and then go onto the careers page. So once you go onto the careers page, or you Google Leicester College careers, and it'll take you there. And there's a little form that you fill out, and it's very, very simple. It's just your name and your details, and a little bit about what your inquiry is. They will ask about your age, because we have two services in the career service. We have one that is 16 to 18, which is myself and my team kind of look after. And then we have a 19 plus team as well for adults, and that's the National Career Service. So we will support you whatever the situation is. And the nice thing is you can actually request a telephone call, so a telephone interview, a Microsoft Teams chat, video chat, which is very, very popular. And now we're reintroducing some face-to-face as well. Now, if you are face-to-face, it's only for Leicester College students, and you will have to prove that you have had a negative COVID test as well. So there are these, health and safety systems that we put into place.
Of course, now we're embarking upon the digital revolution, and a lot of our youngsters, they have to absolutely embrace this. Otherwise, we're not going to see a progressive future, because with remote working, all dynamics have changed in the whole world.
Yeah, agreed.
And this is what is a concern for everybody now, isn't it?
I mean, the thing is, it was going to happen. Akil, my team have done a lot of research, and we go into, before COVID, we were going into schools talking about the future of work. And we used to put a slide up there. There used to be a PowerPoint that we used to put up there, and it used to be a man on a beach with a laptop, and he was working, and it was a bit of just to show what the future was going to look like. But we didn't realize that the future was very closer than what we thought. And for many, many colleges and career services and services, they've had to rethink the way that they work. And in a way, COVID has kind of speeded up the digital process. And the nice thing is now we are more accessible as a service than ever before. And the real nice thing is that anyone out there, everything that I'm saying, please try it out. Go on your smartphones, type in Leicester College Careers. There's a form that you fill out, and then we'll come back to you. We'll come back to you very, very quickly. So we're very, very responsive. The service is absolutely free. That's the first thing. For a lot of young people, we are seeing young people who are coming in from schools as well. So young people that are in year 11, sometimes year 10, and even younger, are accessing the career service at Leicester College, which is fantastic. So they're exploring options as well. And sometimes it might be a quick question. I get questions sometimes about how to, apply to college, which is, pretty straightforward, but they're struggling with it. Sometimes it's more complex. We've got people who have got overseas qualifications that have studied in different countries that want to come to the college or come to the UK and study. So we do help and support them with that process as well. So, we are there to kind of help and support people at different avenues and different pathways in their life.
Of course, there are many, many milestones that you are achieving over the last 20 years, right? And you, like earlier on, I said you've absolutely gone through one generation, literally one generation.
Yeah, a whole generation. It's been interesting because I know it has been 20 years, but I've had people that I interviewed who were at college themselves and now bringing in their own children to see me, which is absolutely amazing, and they are so happy that I am there. There's some sort of consistency, and they'll come and they'll say, "Come and speak to Sarfraz. He will give some guidance." It's a very half the difficulty, I think, is the unknown. You're not knowing who you're speaking to. You don't know if that person is going to be friendly, if that person is going to be approachable, and what I can say, obviously, we are there, we are approachable, we are friendly. And, parents are bringing in their children, sometimes just to get sort of a second opinion, sometimes to understand the new qualifications that are coming up. Because, I've been in education for a long period of my life, a huge portion of my adult working life, and things have changed completely, from GCSEs, the new kind of examining system from like A to G to now the numerical system, to the new T levels that we've got as well, the technical levels that have come out. We've got, obviously, we had GNVQs, and that was faded out as well. We've got BTECs. And so things are moving in education very, very fast. The government is always, I call it, experimenting and putting out new things and seeing if things work or not. And parents are not always up to speed with that. They don't quite, they are busy living their lives and, doing what they're doing. And education is there, but education is moving along. So they need to know what is happening with their children and what studies are they doing and where will it take them and can it take them to where they want to go. That's quite, sometimes it's quite worrying. A lot of, especially with the COVID situation, we had lots of parents contact us and wanted to know if we're still open and are we still operating? And for the career service, we never actually closed. We carried on, albeit remotely for some period of the time. Now we're coming back into the office as well. So we never actually closed. We just adapted.
Now, of course, this week we are running the whole theme this week on diversity and inclusion, the whole process of EDI, and Leicester College being in the heart of the inner city.
Right.
I'm going to ask you a question now. How many different diversities do you have in the college now?
Well, at Leicester, in terms of student population?
That's right, yeah.
Wow. What I will say, the student population reflects the population of Leicester. So for example, you've got diversity of people from all walks of life, all parts of the world, all religions, all nationalities. And what we have at the college, which, I absolutely admire, is that we have, like you have an EDI week. We have lots of diversity. We have lots of different forums as well. We have lots of faith leaders coming into the college. So, for example, we'll have a week where we'll be looking at sort of the Stephen Lawrence Day, which was recently. I think it was just about last week, I think.
Yeah.
The Steve Lawrence Day, we celebrated that in the sense that we celebrated his life, what he stood for. And we have a team called the Student Engagement Team, and they have faith ambassadors in there, equality, diversity. And you'll see in the college, it's because of COVID, things are being a little bit different. But as Leicester College was, it was very, very dynamic in the sense that when you'd walk into the college, you'd see directly lots of things happening. There was lots of engagement with students, and absolutely fantastic in terms of working there and reflecting Leicester's diverse communities. And obviously the religion and and celebrating it. It's a celebration of the diversity that we've got.
Of course, today we'll also have joining us a student, as I mentioned earlier on in the program, and young student. It's very, very interesting to see a perspective of a young student in our community, right? And being that it's a diverse community, we engage with almost as many communities as we can get hold of in the city. And the list is endless. You are talking about Turks, Kurdish, Syrians, Iraqis, Iranians, Sri Lankans, Bangladeshis, Indians, Pakistanis, and the list is long.
Yeah.
And of course, over each decade, we have seen an influx of different people from around the world.
Absolutely.
So we are no longer a regional society. We've become a global society.
Absolutely.
So the world,
a global city, fantastic.
The world is here at our doorstep, right? So today, when we say that we are Leicester eccentric, and when you look at the population of Leicester, it's all about awareness. How many people will actually know that what is the population in the city and what is the population in the county and what is the total. So I'm going to introduce our young guest here today. In fact, I'm going to allow him to introduce himself today. And good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm good. So my name is Bakr Sadiq. I'm 19 years old, and I just finished college. So I just currently just working and just doing charity the month of Ramadan. So yeah, that's all.
Great. It's good to have you in the studio today. Are you live and full of positive energy?
Yeah, I'm ready to talk, say my story and let people know what I've been through and my perspective of other matters.
Of course, Abu Bakr is wearing one of those masks that creates a lot of vibration, so he's not what we call an insulated mask. So he's going to fix that in a minute and get that right, So, of course, Abu Bakr, I'm really happy that you are here with us in the studio because 9 o'clock is a challenge for anybody to wake up Sarfraz during the month of Ramadan. Is it not?
It's it is very difficult. Yes, very difficult. Because you are constantly tired. It's not just the food; it's the effects that it has on your body.
Yeah.
But it's the tiredness. I mean, and also it affects your mood. I was walking with one of my friends last night. We try and walk every night, and he was honestly the most grumpiest person that I've known, and he was so grumpy. It just affected his mood so much. So it does affect your body in lots of different ways. Not having the food, and it's not just the food, but it's your mood swings, it's your tiredness, it's your ability to think and to be 100% there. If you know what I mean,
Of course, you end up just being off color, and when you're off color,
that's the thing.
You're in a mood swing kind of a situation, right? So, Abu Bakr, now where do you study in Leicester?
So I was studying in QE, Wixton, Queen Elizabeth College. So I studied biology, chemistry, maths, A-levels. So very tough subjects. So
we were talking earlier on about the diversity in the city, right? So
yes.
If you could just go through your detail, your journey, your family's journey in coming into this country.
Yeah, so I'm the second generation. So my mom was a businesswoman. So she was doing business, importing, exporting around the country, different countries, Germany, Holland, Sweden, Somalia, and Italy, and many other countries. And my dad came straight from Somalia to London and lived there when he was 9 years old. And he grew up in the London streets and schools and everything there. So, and from a young age, he got kicked out from school because of his color, and he was there was racism in schools. So because of he was catching up very fast in education, so they had to use the excuse, and he got kicked out unfairly. So after that, mashallah, and he learned all that he had to do, did some courses, did uni, finished it off, and then met my mom when he was a manager of a hotel.
In the UK, yes?
In the UK, yeah.
Of course, now this is a typical journey of somebody coming from Somalia now.
Yep.
So the Somali immigration into the UK started when, in the late 80s or in the early 90s?
Early 90s, I'd say.
Early 90s. Here's a question for both of you now. How many people from the Somali community in this city?
Oh my God. Oh God.
What?
Oh my God. Should we say about 4,000 maybe? Something like that?
I'd say 10,000.
10,000.
I'd say 10,000.
Right. Now, obviously, we've just recently had the census, and the exact figure will be known to us then, approximately. So we'll have our controller will check that, and he'll let us know. Now, we were talking earlier on about all the different diversities in the city, right? And it's all about awareness. Throughout the month of Ramadan, we are talking about awareness, our spiritual awareness, and our academic content as well is very important, And this is what we call the AI. Academic intelligence, right? And normally in science they say AI is the future. Of course, AI has always been the future as far as I'm concerned, because it was always about academic intelligence. Hence, that's why we go through nursery, primary, secondary, university, then we do a master's, then we do a PhD, then we go ahead and pay some taxes.
Yeah.
Isn't that right, Sarfraz?
It is. That's the way life is. It's the circle of life, isn't it?
Well, I would call it the journey of life, right? And
The journey of life.
it's all about giving. And throughout that journey, it's all about Ramadan is teaching us about the art of giving.
Yep.
The art of giving. And today, Sarfraz, I'm going to ask everyone in the city here and everyone listening in globally that keep it positive and be always in positive energy, right? And if you're looking for a problem, go sit with somebody who's negative.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
they'll create the problems. You know, they have a problem creating factory. That's what they do. So what do you do for a living? I create problems. You see? That is what negative energy is all about. So Abu Bakr, now we're talking about the diversities now. Both of you are a little bit stung on that because you've not sort of been fully aware of all the different diversities in the city, right? There minimum 20 plus, right up to 40 different diversities in this city,
Yeah.
right? There's a school there in the Highfields region, and in that school there are 40 diversities.
Wow.
Which
40.
school is that?
Well, this school, I don't know exactly the name of that school, but I'll find out and let you know. So you can see the number of Somalis in Leicester is between 10 to 15,000.
Wow.
So, Fraz, isn't that a shock to you?
That is a massive shock. Yes, that's a huge population.
So
isn't
this
it?
is what we're saying, awareness. Now, when we got to educate ourselves on all the different diversities, we need to know the numbers. We need to then, after that, and I always tell everybody, the best way to learn about different people of the world is you got to have some food with them, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
You got to make a friend and go taste that cuisine, what they have. And you will break the ice like you've never known before. Of course, you do that at iftar time, you know, that's the best time. And you break the ice, you learn about each other, and this is all part of our education, Sarfraz. Would you agree?
Absolutely. It is it's a part of the way that we conduct ourselves, the part that we educate ourselves, and also it's part of how we go into the world with the knowledge. So this is part of who we are, really, you know, who we should be.
Now, Sarfraz, here's an idea for you. You and I are going to brainstorm today. We do a Radio Ramadan day at your college, and we then invite all these diversities. We call it the Radio Ramadan Food Week.
Wow.
And what happens, Sarfraz, how it works is we get our expert foodie here. In our studio, we have an expert foodie.
Okay.
He has a gift. His educational gift is to analyze food like no one else can analyze, right? He has taste buds that were not invented in the city of Leicester.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
He can identify Portuguese, he can identify African food, he can identify all different foods from around the world, right?
Yeah.
He can tell you about a banana that nobody else can tell you. The different species of banana, how to cook bananas, and all these kind of prevalent things that we learn about food. So we have a food week there, and we tell everybody in the college, bring a dish.
Yeah.
And we have a cup of tea. We meet all different people, and we learn about each other, starting with food.
Yeah, absolutely amazing.
Now, Sarfraz, this is out of the box thinking. Are you ready for it?
I'm ready for it. Go for it.
Right. So we're going to let Sarfraz, he's going to make that happen, yeah?
Okay, I'm ready for it.
Yeah. Now,
Thank you so much.
Now, coming back to Abu Bakr, right?
Yeah.
I want you are now on your career path, right? So explain to Sarfraz exactly what you're doing now and what you want to do tomorrow, and he's going to give you some guidance live on air.
Okay, so much of my life, I was trying to figure out what I want to do with my life. So I think 2 points of interest that I love is business and charity. So I'm very interested in business when it comes to the freedom of it, and also being able to, the excitement of it and understanding the fundamentals of business, and also charity, because I got it from my mother.
Right.
So, and I have a passion for charity as well. So those two are the 2 main things that I love. So I have a passion for.
Excellent. Good. Okay. Do you know what job you want to do?
So
Have you got the idea of the name of the job or?
when it comes to business, it's not more like what my dream is not like a 9 to 5. It's more like having my own business or venturing in something.
Self-employed, something like that. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, but then of course, before I do that, of course, I like to learn new skills because I'm a very curious person. So I like learning new things. So I've been in a lot of industries. So I've been in worked in restaurants, worked in call centers, worked in warehouses, and worked in other different jobs just to see how the system works, like how your items get delivered to your house, how customers are given their sorted out with the call centers and everything. So I like business, so I like learning new things. So what would you say for advice?
Okay. Well, I mean, the thing is, one of the biggest occupational areas is actually business, because business, you've got so many different, it's like having an umbrella, but underneath the umbrella, you've got lots of different areas like human resources, you've got marketing, you've got public relations, you've got also finance, accounting, and then the list can go on and on and on. So for you to study business is really good, because what that allows you to do is get a taste of what all these different areas are. And then from that, a lot of people tend to kind of choose which direction they want to go into. Now, for what you're telling me, and this is obviously, with what you told me just now, I mean, I'm thinking of someone like a fundraiser, someone who works with a charity, like you could work with a big charity like Red Cross or anything, any big charity, Islamic Relief, for example, and you could become a fundraiser for them, or you could work in the business side of things. So in a way, the whole organization is a charitable organization, but you are helping and supporting that. But that's just an idea. I mean, there is a program. I mean, you would need to contact the college later, perhaps go on the website and put a request, or just email me direct. But there is a program called QDOS, KUDOS, and Abu Bakr, I don't know if you've ever done that. No. Which is called, have you ever done that? Have you heard of it?
Never heard of it until now.
Right, QDOS, KUDOS. And what it is, essentially, is a careers program, but it's career matching as well. Okay. So we ask you lots of questions, and then obviously you answer them, to the best of your ability. Yeah. And then it comes up with the list of careers that would suit you. And that's always useful, because sometimes, obviously, when you're growing up and you're with your mom and your dad and your brothers and sisters and all the family and maybe some friends, you're quite limited really about understanding about the jobs that are out there.
Yeah.
The job that you might be suited to, or that you might end up doing to earn money, you may not have even heard of. Or nowadays, they might not have been invented, because things are moving so fast in technology. And so QDOS will pull all your details and then come up with a list of answers that would suit you. And that's a starting point. Because, I mean, with what you told me, I did a bit of the QDOS thing. I looked at what you were telling me. And I think a fundraiser for a charity would be interesting to look at. But I think QDOS will actually open it up a lot more as well. But I think, studying business does open up the doors huge amount. I mean, if you went to university and carried on and perhaps found a degree program that was doing that, I mean, even self-employed, you talk about obviously having your own business, but because you're quite young, the Prince's Trust, an organization very, very popular in the UK, the Prince's Trust, they have an enterprise program for young people, and they support them to have their own business, they mentor them, help them with finance. So there's lots of different avenues and lots of paths that you can have a look at.
Okay, thank you. So I have one question. So would you say the learning business from a textbook in university and learning business from business people who have been in industries different, or is it the same?
It's they go hand in hand, in my opinion. I mean, I think nothing can replicate the the experience that you're going to get from a good business. So if you go into working in a good business, nothing can replicate that. So no textbook can replicate that. What textbook will give you is the understanding of the theories behind it and open your mind a bit, because that business may work in a certain way, but you need to know about how different businesses work and different perspectives as well. So they go hand in hand. I mean, for example, we've got the introduction of T-levels. For example, the technical level is a new qualification coming out sort of this year. And And the thing is with the T levels, it has 45 days of industry experience. That's 45 days. That's a huge amount of time that you spend in with companies and organizations. So the government understands the value of experience and the value of vocational qualifications. So definitely, I do agree. I absolutely agree with you, actually. I do understand. But there's nothing, I mean, because if you work for one industry, you'll understand how they do the way that they do it. You may want to learn about different types of perspectives, theories, and so on and so forth.
Right, guys, we're going to have a little break now, and then we're going to join you straight after that. So, guys, please bear with us. You're listening to Ramadan Radio. We're going to have a little break. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
very, very difficult to enforce these conditions because I see every day outside that people are walking next to each other and the distance rules are not being respected. So everybody, please, every day we remind you to be mindful. So we're going to move on now with the question that Abu Bakr asked me earlier on, which I'm going to pass it back on to you to ask that question yourself.
So my question was, when you're applying for a job, what name would I put down?
Okay, so this is a very, very interesting one. I think first and foremost, I think people should be confident to put their own name down. So if you, I'll give you an example. Say for example, you're applying for a company and it's the first time you've applied. You can't presume that company is going to treat you unfairly just because your name is Abu Bakr or Sarfraz or another Asian or Muslim name or something.
Or even Z.
Or even Z, of course, which is totally out there, I think, totally cool. But you can't presume that. And I would urge people not to go down that road because you will become so paranoid that the name and your ethnicity and your background is going to go against you. So I wouldn't go down the road of that. I'd put your name down. I would fill out a good application form. I would use good examples. I would do the best that I can. Because you've got to understand as well, in a city like Leicester, which is very, very diverse, your ethnicity can be an advantage as well, because you look at the communities that we're working with. I mean, I'll give you an example. I've done careers appointments where I've spoken different language totally to the parents. Sometimes I've gone into schools or places where they look at my face and they can relate to that. So they'll come and talk to me a bit more, they feel a bit more comfortable. So it's not always a disadvantage. I think the situation gets difficult when you've applied to the same company many, many times and you are obviously using your own same language and your application is very good. And then you've asked for feedback and then it gets difficult. And or if you've seen other counterparts getting interviews and you are not getting interviews, so that's when it gets difficult. And you got the Leicester Race Equality Council, you got people like that, but you do need to confront the company and ask them why is that happening? Why did I not get an interview?
Of course, a very good, strong question there, Sarfraz, and he's really obviously you've read about these issues, have you?
Yes, I have.
And do you know anybody who's experienced these issues?
Yeah, so I have a couple of friends and other people that are older who've experienced it. That was, again, they go to places and use their real names and they don't get the job even though they are suited for the job. And for me, I'm glad to say any job I've applied to, because I'm very young, so I haven't applied to jobs that are very high detail where there's a lot expected. I worked in warehousing call centers. And call centers, I have to say I had 2 years of experience to get in. But then at the end I told them that I have no years of experience, but I knew the job so well that they had to let me stay on.
Of course, this is what he's talking about, is being from the business world. I've got a different perspective on this, is that often people, youngsters will come and ask me, look, I've got an interview tomorrow. Can you help me, guide me, give me some pointers, what I'm going to do? I says, well, what time's your interview tomorrow? 10 a.m. What time is it now? 7 p.m. So that's the first mistake, Sarfraz. Time.
That is. I mean, obviously, we do a lot of work with employability and interviews and preparation, and that's the point I was making. Is you can't start thinking that your name or your ethnicity or your background is going to go against you when you've not put all the hard work in, when you've not done all the preparation, when you've done not done all the mock interviews and things like that. When it's the preparation is the key when you're actually going for interviews, and not just preparing yourself, but understanding the company as well, doing company research.
Yes.
Nowadays it's so much easier. You've got everything on social media, you've got YouTube videos, you've got all of that. There's a lot of information that is very transparent.
Of course, be ready.
Yeah.
Are you born ready?
Absolutely.
Yeah, born ready. With me is I think with jobs right now is having the ability to be very flexible to answer any questions they throw at you. So if you're very confident, they always, even if you don't know what you're talking about and you just talk, they always seem to accept you. So I've experienced it in other jobs when I had interviews. I just had to be very flexible and just not worry about.
No, that's a new one for me. You don't know what you're talking about, but you just talk. So he's a good talker, Sarfraz.
Yeah,
He's a very good talker. I've just heard him. I think what it is as well. I think sometimes with companies and organizations, they can see the potential in someone, and because you are talking, you come across confident, and they can train you. They can they can mold you in what they want you to be. So perhaps that's what they're seeing in you as well. But it's a good trait. I mean, I do mock interviews all the time, and I write about interviews. So I write booklets and information and things like that. Well, I mean, certainly for me, for interviews, you do need to prepare, you need to understand, you need to practice, and all those fundamental things as well. And now you have video interviews as well, which is a game changer. I actually find video interviews a lot easier because you haven't got the anxiety of getting there. You haven't got the anxiety of, putting all the things together. I mean, obviously, you've got to look the part. You've got to make everything work, especially the video, whatever it is. So you have maybe got that, but you're in your own home, which I think makes it feel a lot better.
I'm going to give you both some real life examples here, right? These are examples that have happened actually, right? Yeah. A young lad, he comes from India.
Okay.
Right? And he's here on a quarantine, 14 days. He's come here to do his master's at DMU. Okay. And he puts himself down on a website. He's looking for employment because they're allowed to work 20 hours. And on the 14th day, he gets a Zoom interview.
Yeah.
And on the 15th day, he gets a job.
Yeah.
Now, he's only been in the country 14 days in quarantine at home.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
Now, that is an example for all the young people to follow, right?
Yeah.
That what that story tells you is that it's all about assets and liabilities. Every business out there, one of the principles of the business, our journey of life is all about assets and liabilities, right? Yeah. You go to an interview, you learn to be an asset. You know the job you're applying for, you've done your company research, and you put a pitch forward that you are an A. You're an A student. You're an asset. You're not a liability.
Yeah.
The moment you show yourself as a liability, it will take 1 second only for you to show yourself as a liability, and you won't get the job.
Yeah.
So when you're breaking these glass ceilings that we were talking about, what name to put on your form, if you come to me as an employer, I'll be looking for an asset.
Yeah.
Now, if somebody is not looking for an asset and is looking for race, color, creed, culture, tradition, religion, then you're going to have to deal with that in another way. These are the techniques you got to develop, and you got to be ready for it. So, Sarfraz, and these are also traits that have to be discussed at Leicester College or every other college on this planet.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, we are discussing them. Well, like I said, we have fantastic diversity and equality EDI program that runs right.
Now, you mentioned EDI. I'm going to ask a young man here. What do you know of EDI?
I don't know what EDI is.
You don't know what EDI is. Do you know? So this is awareness. So after the program, I'm going to tell him what is EDI what is the I, what is the D, what is the E. Now,
I guess it.
You see, he's 19 years old, right? And when we don't know, we're going to face difficulties ahead. We're not going to know how to deal with them, right?
And you've got to also understand that EDI is important for business. It's actually crucial for business to get the right candidate. I'm going to mention one thing as well, which I think will help the listeners and viewers out there as well. I think nowadays you've got to build up your brand, especially, you as a person going out into the world of work. I'll give you an example. There's a website called LinkedIn that I think people should know about, or, people out there will know about. And LinkedIn is exciting because what LinkedIn does, it builds up your brand to lots of people out there. So you can showcase it's like having your CV out there, onto the world to see. So you've got obviously your picture, but you've got all the things that you've done as well. And the nice thing is people will start looking beyond your name and your ethnicity, your religion, when they start seeing all the good things that you've done. They will start pushing forward to that. the companies are going to be very short. The company that looks at your name and starts saying, I'm not taking Sarfraz on because that's an Asian name or it's a Muslim name, is very short-sighted, very extremely short-sighted, because our customers come from that background. Our customers are Muslim. Our customers
Sarfraz,
relate
we're gonna sorry to interrupt you, Sarfraz, but we are running short of time.
Oh, okay.
And
Okay.
as we said, time just flies by when you're
It has flown, yes,
when you're in an interesting discussion, right? But it's what's in a name. That's what I got to say. What's in a name? Now, all of you listening in will continue this discussion tomorrow or the day after, but it's something ongoing. So thank you very much for listening. Jazakallah khair, and we look forward to meeting you again tomorrow on Ramadan Radio.